Okay, welcome back. We are at another lecture here. We are looking at the basics. Basics is everything. We looked at GDP, market price, factor cost, NNP, NDP. We looked at base effect. What is the base effect? Can you recollect what is the base effect? Base effect is abnormally high or abnormally low results due to abnormally high or abnormally low basis. You know, basis, what base you choose. You know, there is a separate literature, economic literature on choosing of basis. So, in statistics and economics both, choosing of basis is so important that it becomes a separate field of study altogether. Choice of base. Okay, right? So what is disposable personal income? What is disposable personal income? Personal income, disposable personal income, national income, per capita national income. Which NNP do we take for analysis normally? What is national income actually? NNP at market price or NNP at factor cost? It is NNP at factor cost. Now if I ask you what is basic prices, then you will say basic prices sit between factor cost and between market price. Remember? So the difference between basic price and factor cost is production related government interventions, and the difference between market price and basic price is product related interventions. Very good. Just those of your friends who are studying at other places who might not have such good grasp, just show off ki all these things, and just ask them what is what is basic price. This is the most confusing thing, basic price. Okay, so we ended, where did we end? We ended at base effect, we ended at GDP deflator, right? We ended at GDP deflator. I also told you it takes around 1 year to compute GDP deflator, so it is of no use for current policy making. Still it is calculated because we have to cover all goods. So what we do conveniently is that we take a basket of goods which are most used, which are frequently brought, frequently supplied, and which are most volumes are high, even amounts are high. We take all those things and we do it. So those baskets are given different names like CPI, WPI and all of that. We'll see that in inflation chapter. Now that we know the full concept around, or full what we say, all the dimensions of GDP, we know basic and we know everything. We'll move on to the limitations of GDP. What GDP is, we know that. Now what GDP is not, we should know that also. So GDP, first of all, very easy. GDP does not include any, so see, when it gets recorded in GDP, I'll tell you, whenever some value is created, it is recorded in GDP. Always remember this. We saw the example also, whenever value is created. Now we understood these examples with the help of goods. Let us take a service person. Let us take a person who is giving IT services. You call that person, you say ki my laptop is not working, and he says ki bring it over. He does nothing. He doesn't give you any goods. He just opens your laptop, cleans it, and does some servicing. He doesn't use anything at all. He just wire yahan se nikal ke he puts it there and he closes your laptop starts working. He has sold his service. He has not sold you any goods. The moment he does that, the moment you hand him that 500 rupees note, a service is created, a service is provided, and then it gets included in GDP. Sir, how does the government know how that it is GDP? Because this guy, this person, this laptop repairman, he maintains his records, he pays GST on that, he pays income tax on his income, and when these documents are filed with the government comes to know, oh, this is the laptop guy, he has provided services to these many people, and that, please include that in GDP by value added method. Okay. So actually the name is very wrong, product method is very wrong, because now it is services also. Did you know before 93, 94 we did not calculate services only goods were the focus on. There was no service tax also. So this is a very evolving thing. Do you know today there is no law on cryptocurrency in India? There is no, it is completely unregulated. You can open your own crypto business, you can close anytime. There is no law, there is no legal, there is no illegal. See, when there is law, then there is a distinction between legal and illegal. In crypto there is no law. Similar was the case with services in 80s and 70s and 80s. There was no law on services. Hai bhi, nahi bhi hai, there, not there. So when services were properly formalized, legalized, and service tax was brought in 1993 by the Finance Act of 94, then things started changing. So whatever we are learning now might become outdated in the next few years, right? Okay. So we are talking about limitations of GDP. So what GDP is not? What GDP is not? You can write this down. Only the points you should write it down. What GDP is not? So first of all, GDP does not include, very important, like I told you, when is GDP included? When a service is done. But do you give money to your mother, to your sister for caring for you? But you give money to a babysitter. They do the same job, but money is not given to relatives or friends. Money is given to professionals, babysitters and all. Okay? So that particular area, we call it as care economy. Care, C-A-R-E, care economy. So let's say you have elderly at your home, grandparents at your home. If you care for them, you don't expect money and you don't get money. But if you keep a nurse for them, for their care, you have to give them money. So that nurse ka remuneration is counted in GDP, but your own remuneration for your care is not counted. So care economy is not counted. Obviously for those goods and services whose records are not available, they are not counted. So you can say illegal, and drugs. Do you think drugs are counted in GDP? I don't think so. So illegal goods and services are not counted in GDP. Illegal, black market, all of those things are not counted in GDP. These are the limitations of GDP, right? These are, so not only what is not counted, but what GDP is not. That is also important. Always remember that GDP is always a quantitative metric. It is a figure. It will not show, we calculated the NNP and all of that. When I talk about GDP, it speaks about everything, GDP, NDP. It does not show, it does not capture the inequality present in the country. Sir, what do you mean by that? India's GDP $5 trillion, but that out of that $5 trillion, $3 trillion is the income held by only 10% of the people, and baki 80%, 90% of the people are poor. So GDP will never show you that. GDP will not show you that. GDP is a quantitative metric. GDP does not capture inequality in the country. Okay? GDP does not capture inequality. It is a purely a performance, a quantitatively performance metric. So it does not capture all of those things. Okay? Done. Then what does GDP not show? GDP, obviously GDP does not take into consideration the environmental cost. $5 trillion, but at what cost? It does not show the environmental cost. Right? Then what does it not show? It does not show black money, and all of that is included in here only. So these are the few limitations of GDP. You will find more in the book, but this is more than enough to understand that GDP is not everything. GDP is not Sansar. GDP is not mom, dad. They are not everything. GDP is not everything. So these are the limitations of GDP. Okay? Simple. GDP. Now I want you to imagine you are driving a car. Imagine you are driving a car. Have you, like you must have driven a bike or a car with manual gears. Okay? Automatic gears mein the system does it automatically. They also have gears, but in manual gear you change gears. Okay? So now if you are driving a car, if you want to go at high speed, imagine the car is your economy. If you want to go at high speed, what you will have to do? You will have to maintain the right gear and the right acceleration. What will happen if you keep on pressing the accelerator at first gear? Car will go at a very small speed, car will make a lot of noise, and car will eventually overheat. Okay? Are you agreeing with what I am saying? So if in an economy prices increase, see, prices are the fuel for the economy. Just remember this thing, prices are the fuel. You need fuel to run the economy, but you don't need too much of fuel or too much of acceleration so that economy burns out. Always remember this thing. To get your economy into another gear, you need real production. Okay? Real production. You need that investment. To take those gears at a speed, you need prices. You need prices to encourage suppliers and all of that. That is the fuel. That is the accelerator which sends the fuel from fuel tank to the engine. Okay? What will happen if you keep only one gear and if you keep on giving supply of fuel and keep on accelerating? It will heat, it will overheat, it will make noise, and it will eventually burn down. It will catch fire. Okay? Same thing happens in the economy. Same thing happens in the economy. We have seen two-sector model. Just come back to two-sector model. We have firm here, we have household here. This is the circular model of economy. Money flows here, there, everywhere. Okay? Now let's say for example, if this is the first gear. If they want to move on the second gear, if they want to move on the higher gear, either demand has to increase or supply has to increase. Okay? Today they are trading 100 goods. tomorrow they have to increase their quantity, tomorrow they have to go into the next gear. For that real investment would be required, for that price increase would be required. Okay, if price increases incessantly without any limits, then affordability will be an issue. Imagine if today bottle of water costs 20 rupees, let's say 1 liter. Tomorrow it becomes 50 rupees, 100 rupees, 150, 200 rupees. That happens in South American countries. Bread, water, basics are so costly there. There is hyperinflation there. Hyperinflation. We'll talk about that in inflation chapter, especially in Venezuela. Right? So, if it increases unchecked, prices increases, if they increase unchecked, then what happens is that you are just pressing the accelerator but not going at a speed. If you want to go at speed, what you have to do? You have to change the gear. To change the gear, you need investment. You need real investment. Okay? Or you need spending. Or you need, see, out of that C plus I plus G plus X minus M, you need some of it to work. I to you need only. Even if C increases, it is okay, because when you demand more goods, they will supply more goods. When they supply more goods, they will invest. So C will eventually lead to I. Okay? So when they want to reach to the next gear, see, this will be on the first gear only if they keep on playing here. If they want to reach to the next gear, either he has to operate at a higher gear, or either he has to operate at a higher gear. Once he does, they will start operating at a higher gear, and same thing will go on at a third gear also. Okay? That is how economy grows. So when we say GDP is growing, we saw it is a product of prices and real things. So when real things increase, prices also increase, and they operate at another level altogether. But again I am repeating, what will happen if real does not increase but prices increase? Inflation. So the noise will increase, but they will be operating on the first gear only, and eventually it will burn out. So always remember, prices are like fuel. You need them, but not in excess amount, otherwise they will catch fire. Okay? Now, chalo, out of this, in this simple two-sector model, let's say he stops spending. He stops spending. This will break down. This will break down because he stops spending. He will not supply. If he will not supply, he will not need labor. And who supplies labor? H. Economy will break down. So one very fundamental fact of economics is, the more spending is done in the economy, the more levels or the more gears you can change in the economy. Money jitna flow hoga, whatever money is like blood in the economy. If it flows, if it changes hands, if it is transacted, if it is spent, then your economy is healthy. Otherwise your economy is not. If you, me, everyone, we only keep money in our homes, we don't spend. See, if you don't spend, that shopkeeper wala will not have any goods. If he will not have any goods, his family will not have income. Okay? You will also not get any goods, you will also perish, he will also perish. The economy will come down. Agreed? Okay? Ye ho gaya, done. Now, let us say, now, what do you think? What do you think is possible to increase in a limited manner? Real values or money value? Like the prices or real goods? In a limited manner, I mean, you can, tomorrow if you want to increase, you will increase, and then you want to decrease, you will decrease. That nahi. What has some structural limitations to it? Increasing real production has some limitations to it, or increasing the price level? Increasing the production has some limitations to it, because it requires suppliers' confidence. It will not happen overnight. See, prices can increase overnight. Government today, if it increases taxes, finished, prices increased. Done, one policy. You cannot double your supply, or you cannot double your production overnight, right? It requires long-term thinking. The machine will take time to think, to get installed, to get constructed, and all of that. Okay? So there are structural limitations to increase the real variables. So see this. Today you are operating in gear number 3. Your economy is functioning at gear number 3. So this is your GDP. Your GDP is functioning at gear number 3. Now if I want to ask you, how will the GDP grow, or how will you grow the economy? You will say you have to increase prices little bit, you have to increase spending a little bit, and you have to increase investment. C plus I. Remember, you have to increase those. Once you increase those, it will change gears. Okay? So up to a point, structural reforms are possible. Up to a point, you can increase the supply. So let's say Today the machine is able to produce 100 units and he is supplying 80 because demand is only 80. Okay? Demand increases, he can instantly increase 20 because he has a supply of 20. He has a machinery which supplies 100. He has a spare capacity of 20. To install another machinery will take time. Are you getting it? Increase of supply up to an extent is very easy. After that it takes time. Okay? So in an economy, if you want to go from one gear to another gear, instantly you can increase supply for a bit. You can do that. After that, you will have to increase prices to encourage him to invest more, and then he will invest more. Can he keep on adding capacity? He cannot keep on adding capacity because demand is limited, resources are limited. It is not easy to keep on adding capacity in an infinite time. So if you keep on pressing the accelerator, do you think, so let's say you already reached at 5th gear and then you keep on pressing the accelerator, then again engine will start overheating because uske aage there is no gear, there is only heat, which means in an economy after a point of time there is only inflation. Real cannot catch up with the prices. Are you getting it? Real is gear, inflation is fuel. After reaching 5th gear, if you keep on pressing accelerator, the car will overheat at the 5th gear because there is no gear in more than the 5th gear. Okay? So, but if you are at 3rd gear, can you reach 5th gear comfortably? Yes. Without overheating, you can do it if you don't press the accelerator too much. Okay? So, this is your current GDP. 5th gear is the limit of your economy today. Tomorrow when things change, tomorrow when new technology comes, when machineries arrive, when everything happens, you can go to 6th gear also. Today let us say your limit is 5th gear. If you press more accelerator, economy will increase, but it will be air, it will be inflation, it will not be real. Okay? So 5th gear is your limit. So is there inflation between 3rd and 5th? Not so much. Thoda sa hoga, but it will be nominal, which is required. Beyond 5th gear, there will be only inflation, only air, not advisable. Okay? So that level of your GDP, which you can achieve without a significant increase in inflation. That level of GDP which you can achieve without a significant increase in inflation is called as potential GDP. 2020 first question or 2019 or second question, I think. We saw the question. What is potential GDP was asked. Define potential GDP, mains question. That level of GDP beyond which economy cannot grow without significant inflation, that is called as potential GDP, or that level of GDP to which economy can grow without significant inflation, that is potential GDP. You can write it in any manner, that is potential GDP. Simple hai, English hai, potential. So my potential is I can score 120 marks, I am at 100 marks. So without burning myself out, I can reach to 120. But after 120, I will be frustrated. How to increase my marks? Okay? So that will be inflation. So this is potential GDP. Now is there a gap between this and this? Yes, there is a gap. This shows a potential gap. This gap is called as output gap. Now English, output gap. Today your output is this much, but without inflation, you can increase your output to reach potential GDP. Output is production, real. Okay? And then inflation. So that becomes your output gap. So this beach ka 4th gear becomes your output gap. So your output gap is 5th gear minus 3rd gear. Is your output gap. Okay? So true or false? I can increase output gap without inflation. Yes. Once you reach potential GDP, iske baad it becomes difficult. So at potential GDP, output gap is 0. Yes or no? Because you are already at potential GDP. So there is nothing to minus. Then next level of reforms happen. Then we see all these ease of doing business and all of these things which are happening. So then all these reforms happen. Then we raise our potential GDP. We are here. So once we go from GDP to potential GDP, now we are here. We make some structural reforms in the economy. We raise our potential GDP to here. Then there is again a new output gap. And then we again go to the new GDP. And this is how economies develop. Why are developed countries called developed? Because their potential GDP is high. Their output gap is also at a very high level. We are here, they are there. In terms of economy I am talking, not in terms of human quality. And obviously if this increases, somewhat of it will go to the poor, no doubt. See, I'm not saying that they will be very well off, but their life will improve compared to here. They will still be poor there, but better poor compared to here. No need to bring any social angle here. In economics, you can use words in a very harsh manner. They are poor, they are poor. It is economics. Come on. Okay? So, output gap is the gap between potential GDP and actual GDP. This is actual GDP. This is the current GDP, actual GDP. And then the economic reforms which you bring in increase the potential gap to higher. They set the bar higher. So, let's say ki, you found a new method of studying. You are already at 120. You cannot improve much. Then your friend gave you a new flow chart to memorize all the national parks. Then you set your bar to 130. You can now solve all the questions of environment. And then slowly you work towards it without stressing yourself much, because that is inflation. Agreed? So economies, it is said that should not aspire to go from here to here. They should first go to potential GDP, increase the potential GDP bar, then fill the output gap. If you try to go from output gap to beyond potential GDP, you will overheat. Economy, inflation, khatam. Okay? This was the story of potential GDP, output gap. Okay? Now, let me come to some stories. Did we speak about Adam Smith? Yes, we spoke about Adam Smith. He said that invisible hand exists. Okay? When did he release the book? He released the book in 1776. Then we also spoke about another story which was happening in 1929 to 1939. We spoke about, I told you we'll come back to that. We spoke about this thing, the Great Economic Depression. We spoke about Great Economic Depression. Some things happened, everything, people were unemployed, and then one person rose from the ashes, and actually he was a very well-known person beforehand only, but he is known for his book in 1936, which is Theory of Unemployment, Interest and Money. His name is John Maynard Keynes. Okay? He said some things. What he said is that government should intervene. Remember, invisible hand theories suggest that government should not intervene. He said that government should intervene. Okay. Then what happened? I told you, try to correlate with the dates. In 1936, he came up with the book. In 1939, something happened again. 1939, World War II started. 1939 to 1944, World War II started. America supplied arms and ammunition to the entire world. America became the arms supplier of the world, and the companies which were supplying these arms, they rose. When companies rose, the economy of America also boomed. So, America is a war-recovered economy. War has led to recovery. So, before World War II, America's economy was in shambles, but due to World War II, America has benefited so much in terms of economy. Human destruction is there, infra destruction is there, everything is there. Okay? And in 1944, when the World War concluded, these guys met. Economists from around the world met, leaders met, and they thought ki we should have one organization to control all the economies, to help all the economies, because they saw that a lot of countries were war torn now, because even for example Japan's economy was gone. Then so many small countries were literally wiped out, and that is why these leaders met. And see, they had their ulterior agenda. They wanted to control the world economy, everyone knows. But these guys met, they said ki we should have an international organization to control economy, so that rich nations do not take advantage of poor nations. See, this is all very unbelievable, I know, but that was the official this thing. And then they met, and then they met at a place called Bretton Woods in New Hampshire. And Bretton Woods Conference, it is known as Bretton Woods Conference, which gave rise to two organizations which we today know as World Bank and the IMF, International Monetary Fund. We'll speak about them in a further lecture regarding international institutions. So they met. So this was the intention behind them. Wahan pe, what they discussed was that America's economy was resolved without government intervention. In the war, demand supply matched, and products started increasing. So the companies which were producing arms and ammunition, they also produced other goods also. So they used the profits from war to produce other goods. Demand supply stabilized. Remember, equilibrium arrived, and people were very happy. America recovered, right, compared to the pre-war era. So Keynes was forgotten. Keynes was Keynes was ignored and people turned to Adam Smith. People turned to invisible hand. Ki we should not intervene. If we would have intervened, in fact, I think कौन था वो? Franklin Roosevelt was there and was the president during that time, and he introduced a lot of reforms and economy benefited, but not as much as what was benefited from the war. So they said ki we should not intervene. Simple. Let purchasers do the job, sellers do the job. Okay? They met in Washington and they decided that this is how world economy should be run, on the basis of demand and supply, on the basis of market forces and not with government intervention. And this particular meeting in Washington, where it was agreed upon by top economists, where it was said that we should not intervene, there are a lot of many discussion points, but for our purpose there is only one discussion point, that government should not intervene. We should go back to Adam Smith's theory and we should follow that theory. And this was 1940s we are talking about, and this particular meeting that happened, this particular agreement that was signed, this particular consensus that was achieved is known as Washington Consensus. So nobody will ask you what is Washington Consensus, but you should know Washington Consensus means no government intervention. Simple. Washington Consensus. And this gave rise to what we today know as capitalism. Let the industries do the job, no government intervention, capitalism. And I am not talking about the political philosophy of capitalism, I am talking about the economic philosophy of capitalism, which means that no government intervention. And no government intervention is called as a fancy word for it, I think it is French word hai. For no government intervention, they advocated a laissez-faire policy, Laissez-faire, which means stop, do not intervene, no government intervention. Invisible hand of the markets will support everyone, no government intervention, stop laissez-faire. Okay? So they introduced a laissez-faire policy. Now Adam Smith and other economists like, have you heard of John Stuart Mill? You will hear in political theory. Adam Smith, John Stuart Mill, Thomas Malthus. These were all economists who said that government should not intervene. These were all economists who said that market forces adjust automatically. These were known as classical economists. It is the first economic thought. See, I told you, Adam Smith is widely considered the founder of economics, as a separate branch of study in 1770s. So, classical economists or the classical thought says that government should not intervene. These guys agreed 200 years later, government should not intervene. Laissez-faire policy. Okay? What happened in USSR at that time? What happened in China at that time? Exactly opposite happened. They realized that there is a lot of poverty. They realized that people do not have land. They realized people do not have money. So they said, let government do everything for us. Okay? Let government take care of everything. We will provide money, we will provide land, we are all a community, and we will do it, we will do for everyone. We have a responsibility towards our citizens, towards the quality of life of our citizens, and we will do everything. Okay? This is the first extreme, and now we are talking about the second extreme. Do you know the word for such a philosophy? What is the opposite of capitalism? Socialism, right? I am not talking about communism because that is a political philosophy. Socialism, you can say socialism. At the same time in USSR and China and all those economies, socialism was in vogue. See, different results from the war and different philosophies which were being brought about. Socialism. So that obviously, if this is Washington Consensus, that will be known as Beijing Consensus. This did not happen at the same time exactly. Some 10-15 saal idhar udhar happens. Beijing Consensus, which is nothing but socialism, or government will do everything. What do you think India follows out of these two? What do you think India follows? See, we like everything in our food. We want the spiciness, we want the sweet, we want salty, we want tangy, we want everything. So, this is a mixed, India follows a mixed economy model. So, basic services we will provide, uske upar market has a free hand. Yes or no? Right? What do you think USA follows? In economics, almost all economies are mixed. Even China has elements of capitalism, not predominantly, but China has elements of capitalism. MNCs operate in out of China. They have free profits there. So neither country is completely capitalist or completely socialist. They have shades. Predominantly socialism is in China. Predominantly capitalism is in Western countries. India follows strictly a mixed approach. But you will agree we are moving from socialism to capitalism. Polity question. It is a polity question. Optional ho ya GS ho. India is moving from socialist goals to capitalist goals. Yes or no? Right? Earlier there were government control banks, government control industry. We will do everything. Now we are privatizing everything. We are keeping government presence to a bare minimum. We are constantly moving from this to this. We were this a lot earlier, not completely, but a lot. Predominantly, we were socialist. If you open the preamble, you have words, yeah. Hai na? So we are moving towards this now. Is it bad? Is it good? Both. It has shades of everything because this is also not that good. This is also not that good. Okay? There is a book by Dr. Raghuram Rajan. So I have had the good fortune of working with him for quite some time. It's a good book. It is Saving Capitalism from Capitalists. Dr. Raghuram Rajan says that capitalism is not bad. Capitalists are bad. The people who formulate policies are bad. So saving capitalism from capitalists, that's a very good book. There are many books like Fault Lines and the recent book I Do What I Do. So I have read them all and they are very good. He is a visionary thinker, a visionary economist, not a technically genius, not only a technically genius, he is a genius, but he is a visionary also. Okay? Washington Consensus, Beijing Consensus done, capitalism done, socialism done. Do you know what is classical economics? Nothing but no government intervention, classical economics. Then something came as neoclassical economics, which is fine, you can read it in the book. So now Keynesian economics went to a backseat. What does Keynesian economics say? He does not say government should do everything. Please bear in mind, Keynesian economics does not say government should do everything. He says that when this does not work, government should step in. Government should not be a mere spectator to the failure of the economy. Government should step in. These guys say, wait, do not step in, it will happen, it will correct automatically. Economy will recover automatically. Keynes say कि actively if you don't step in, economy will not correct automatically. Keynes is not saying कि government should do everything. ठीक है? बराबर है? Right? So this Keynesian economics is what we follow even today, is what India follows today, is what most of the countries want to follow even today, is what most of the economic policies are based upon. And before that, one last point, we have different branches, classical, neoclassical, Keynesian. So there are some new branches which are coming in. So I want you to, don't take a note of it. It is fairly simple to understand. But think about it, something called as developmental economics. Now what is developmental economics? Normal English means just break it down into normal English. Developmental economics, which means it does not only pay attention to the figures but also some development which is happening. Now what are the indicators of development? Quality of life, health, education, literacy. Okay, all of these, it comes under education only. All of these are developmental economics. Amartya Sen, and you know Amartya Sen, have you heard about Amartya Sen? Amartya Sen and Mehboob ul Haq, they in the 90s they were working with UN and they came out with an indicator to measure development. See, we are measuring growth now. Abhi tak we are measuring growth. Which gear are you on? But in that second gear, is your car running on a smooth road or a pothole wala road? You don't know. You are in second gear, third gear, fourth gear. You are growing very well, going very fast. But what kind of road are you driving? What kind of car are you driving? Okay. So this was the question which was in front of economists. We should devise something to measure development also. Only facts and figures will not make it. So these two visionary Nobel laureate, Amartya Sen is a Nobel laureate in economics. and Mehboob ul Haq, they developed something to measure the development, and this forms a new branch of economics in 1990s. It started from 80s and 90s. A new branch of economy was brought in, which is called as developmental economics, and this you must have heard of this thing. And the tool which they brought about, is called as Human Development Index. Have you heard of this Human Development Index, HDI? If not, then you will hear about it. Human Development Index. Human Development Index. It is called as HDI. It was developed in 1990, released to the public in 1991, and in use by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, in their annual annual Human Development Report, HDI. ठीक है, done. So this is developmental economics. Now, what is the field of economics which we are seeing today? What is the field of economics which we are seeing today? What is the new field of economics? We saw 2-3 questions also on inclusive growth and sustainability. Green economics, environmental economics is a field which we are seeing today. It is new. We have not yet fully evolved it. So if you read environment, you will find Paris Agreement and all of those things, UN, FCCC. So all of those things are green economics. We have established International Solar Alliance, right? India has done that. This is all green economics. What does it do? It takes into consideration the environmental impact of your GDP growth. You are growing very good, but what about you are going through trees? Okay? What about the people who depend on the environment, tribals, forest dwellers and all of that? That is green economics, environmental economics, green accounting. So what do? Is normally they take GDP, 200 rupees ka cake you made, 200 is your GDP, but in making that cake electricity was used, in making that electricity coal was used, in that coal pollution happened. So how much pollution happened, they try to quantify it. So let's say 8 rupees worth of pollution happened. So they say ki sir, 200 is not your GDP, your GDP is 200 minus 8, 192. We have deducted environmental damage cost from your GDP. This is environmental economics. China tried to do this, and then it saw that its GDP reduced drastically and it stopped giving environmental GDP numbers. Right? Another extension of development economics, extension of development economics is happiness economics. They measure happiness of the people. Ultimately, what happens? What is the purpose of life? To be happy, to be content, to be satisfied. Hai na? Happiness economics. To be very happy with whatever you have. So even if you are earning 20 lakhs, if you are not happy, then it doesn't make sense. And if you are earning 30,000, if you are happy, right? Your health is good, you are happy, right? So happiness economics has been started. Bhutan is the first country in the world to have a happiness minister, happiness ministry, and along with GDP numbers, it also gives happiness index. Gross national happiness. Just imagine. Gross national happiness. Sir, what about India? India also gives happiness. Madhya Pradesh has a separate happiness minister. Maharashtra has a separate happiness department. So different states are on different stages of implementing this happiness economics. And sir, is there anything at the world level which measures happiness at the world, of the citizens of different countries? Yes, you will find this in books. So I am not going to ask you to write it. There is a branch of or a department of UN called SDSN, Sustainable Development Solutions Network. They bring out World Happiness Report. Okay? They bring out World Happiness Report. Now, can you guess the rank of India on World Happiness Report? I will give you World Happiness Report ka denominator. Out of how many countries? So I would say out of 149 countries, what is the rank of India in World Happiness Report? Just try to take a guess. So that they measured happiness in 149 countries this year, and the latest 2021 reports gives India's rank at, just imagine how bad we fare. What is the use of becoming largest GDP country in the world? What is the use of third largest, fourth largest, fifth largest country becoming the country in the world? है ना? 139 out of 149 is our happiness rank. What about human development rank? What is our rank in human development? So it also measures around 140, 150 countries or 160 I think. Our rank is, just imagine, Pakistan, China are way ahead of us in happiness. Human development 131, really? 131. There are 132 countries ahead of us, not 50 countries or 40 countries, 132 countries ahead of us. Sir, but these methods, these reports are flawed. See, whatever it is, but GDP calculation is also flawed, na? Your GDP calculation pe, if I start, then a lot of things are flawed in GDP calculation also. Everything, nothing is perfect, right? But if they have a common measure, if they have a measuring rod, even if there are imperfections, chalo, if this was 39, still very good. 139 kya hota hai? What is 139? We never go in 2 digits, we are always in 3 digits. Okay? And again, one branch of economics which affect you every day, which affect each of us every day, that is also a branch of economics which you should be aware of, that is known as behavioral economics. It plays with your mind, it plays with your psychology. Sir, what are you talking about? Amazon Prime Day is back, 2 days of discounts. Buy everything at a discount. You buy even things which you don't need. Behavioral economics, they are manipulating your behavior, they are manipulating your uses, they are manipulating the way of thinking. They create need. You don't need that product, but they create need. You feel that you need it. I see people whose work is only basic document editing, MS Word, MS Office, basic, and they buy iPad Pro or 16 GB and all of that. Do you need it? But marketing, behavioral economics, very powerful tool. They will give you coupons, free delivery on Zomato, and apply this coupon and get 20% off. All as behavioral economics. We are surrounded by behavioral economics. That is a field which is the fastest growing field. And there are economists who specialize in this, how to manipulate behavior. They are psychological economists. They have a background of psychology and economy both. Okay. Richard Thaler won Nobel Prize in Behavioral Economics in 2017. It's an old story. Read about it. Read about why he won the Nobel Prize in Economics. What did he do? Kya kiya aisa? I'll tell you in brief. He won the Nobel Prize for something called as nudge economics. Nudge, nudge. What is the English meaning of nudge? Thoda dhakka dena, to push a little. Nudging, just you are sitting beside someone and you just poke your elbow into that person. Nudging, little bit you are pushing or touching, like that. I'll tell you the practical example of nudge economics which is used in India a lot. So when Swachh Bharat was launched, people were very hesitant to use toilets. So they used, you have seen a movie na, kaun sa, Toilet Ek Prem Katha, that is a movie by Akshay Kumar. So government started running programs ki if you don't have a toilet in your home, you cannot get married, or you will not find a woman. Aisa they started creating messages and all. This is all nudge economics. So that is why they started using toilets, and you nudge them to use it. So it is all positive also. It is not negative. It is a mix depending on how you use. And terrorists use nudge economics for some other illicit purposes. So there are uses of it. So Richard Thaler won Nobel Prize for this, for nudge economics. Economics is continuously growing and we need to be updated. We need to study it, and it is very interesting also. If you know the concepts, it becomes interesting. So now that you know GDP, next time you read an article on GDP, you will be content, you will be happy. Yeah, but before knowing, let's say you read an article on fiscal consolidation, so you don't know what it is, so you will skip it, or you will find that it is very tough. Okay? This was about branches of economics. So basic things I wanted to cover. Usme zyada kuch, there is not rocket science in this. When we covered limitations of GDP, I forgot one thing to add. This is limitations, na? One thing I forgot to add, which which we have been talking about, which is called as transfer payments. It is not included in GDP. Sir, what is transfer payments? Finally tell us. We are dying to know what is transfer payment. Since first lecture you are talking about transfer payment. So transfer payments, see, transfer payments in simple terms are non-value adding payments. For example, scholarship. You get scholarship, but government is not expecting you to produce anything or to give anything for lesser cost, or government is not giving you or you are not giving a service to the government that you are using the that you are getting the scholarship. Okay? Pension. He is not working for the pension. It is just घर में बैठ के he is getting pension. He has worked for it, no doubt, but now he is just getting this payment. So this is just transfer payment. So technical definition of it, or economic definition of it is a unidirectional payment. It goes in one direction only. It is a unidirectional payment. Whatever you feel like writing, you can write. It is a unidirectional payment, but all of these things are there in the book. So hence, we are not emphasizing on writing. Unidirectional payment. They may be conditional, they may be non-conditional. For example, scholarship you will get only if you get more than 90%. It is conditional. Everyone does not get scholarship. Only if you are in the top 10 of that exam, you get scholarship. That is conditional. And sometimes non-conditional is everyone gets it. Okay? There is a concept called as universal basic income. So we will talk about it. That is a very forward topic. That is a very blue sky topic, which is not, concrete, available in a concrete manner today. It is a concept. It is in an abstract or a concept stage. Okay, universal basic income, UBI it is called. We'll speak about that. I had given a presentation also in one of the economic institutes in India on UBI. So we'll speak about that also. Don't worry. Okay. Now, before doing anything else, now please freshen your minds up. I'm going to teach you something very interesting. Have you eaten a burger in your life? Okay, you have eaten a burger in your life. Have you eaten McDonald's burger in your life? Almost everyone has. Okay, if you have not, then please do. It is like wo hak banta hai. It is a fundamental right to have McDonald's food, because it is very unhealthy. Completely agree, but it is a fundamental right to eat that once at least in our lives. Okay? So everyone has had, let's assume everyone has had McDonald's burger, and let's say you have McVeggie burger. Okay? McVeggie burger. How much does it cost in India? How much does it cost in India? Give a rough estimate. 100 rupees, suppose. Okay? It costs 100 rupees. Tomorrow you go to US to meet your friend for some work. You go to McDonald's, and there it is very difficult to find veg burgers first, but you still go and you find, pleasantly you are surprised that there is only one veg burger, which is McVeggie there. How much are they charging? Let's say $2. Simple. Is it the same product? Yes. In India it is costing 100 rupees, in US it is costing $2. Fine, no problem. You go to some other country, you find McVeggie, they will charge in their own currency, right? Can I say 100 rupees for one McVeggie, $2 also for one McVeggie? Agreed? So these are now related because they have a common denominator, which is McVeggie. Okay? So if 100 rupees worth of goods, 100 rupees worth of burger, you are getting for $2. Same burger hai, you are getting for $2. Then what is the rate of exchange which is happening? Which means what is $1 worth here? If 100 rupees is $2, what is $1? How much? 50 rupees. Yes or no? Do you agree? Yes. You are getting the same goods. This is very important. You are getting one McVeggie burger for $2 there. You are getting one McVeggie burger for 100 rupees here. So if McVeggie was the currency, let's say, so what would be the exchange rate? Ki 1 rupee, 100 rupees you are getting one McVeggie, $2 you are getting one McVeggie. So 100 ko you just simplify it ki $1 ka kitna worth you are getting, which means you will get half burger here for 50 rupees, half burger here for $1. So which means you are getting same goods worth 50 rupees for $1. Yes or no? So $1 is 50 rupees now. What is the current exchange rate? 75 approx, चलो approx ले लो, 74, 75. What is the current dollar exchange rate? This is the official exchange rate, yes or no, which you find everywhere. $1 is 50 rupees, $1 is 75 rupees. Why is there a mismatch now? Because if you take that 100 rupees of make veg, if you go to America and if you convert that into dollars, you will get less than $1 because it is 75 rupees for $1. So less than $2 because it is 75 rupees. Then you won't be able to afford make veg, yes or no? Because it is worth $2 here, right? So the point I am trying to make is ki $1 is 50 rupees, $1 is 75 rupees. This is known as the official exchange rate. How is it calculated? How is it what is it composed of? We'll come later. It is not a part. But do you notice this? Now imagine the same thing happening in all countries. Make veg is available in almost all developed countries and all major countries, and you then determine an exchange rate which will be drastically different from official exchange rate. Barabar hai? Yes, this rate, what are you basing it on? Are you basing it on money value or you are basing it on purchasing value? You are basing it on purchasing value because here you get one make veg you can purchase in 100 rupees, one make veg you can purchase in $2, which means that $1 is equal to 50 rupees in terms of purchasing power. In terms of purchasing power, $1 will help you purchase half burger, 50 rupees will help you purchase half burger. Official exchange rate goes to buy oil, tel lene gaya, theek hai? 100 rupees, one make veggie, $2, one make veggie, $1, 50 rupees in terms of purchasing power, and this is known as purchasing power rate. This exchange rate is known as purchasing power rate. So when we tell India's GDP is $3 trillion, 2.7, 2.8, $3 trillion when we say, and we say USA's GDP is $50 trillion, that is as per the official exchange rate. Yes, but you also know, you might have relatives in USA, ki there they earn more, they spend more also. You know, their basic taxi fare also costs a lot, their basic food fare costs a lot. Go to London and eat one normal breakfast, sasta breakfast, and you will come to know it costs 600, 700 rupees, Indian rupees, as per official exchange rate. Okay? But they earn also more there. Okay? So, one burger you cost 100 rupees. So, one person who can afford a burger here, let's say his salary is 1000 rupees, assuming he can afford a burger, yes. यहाँ पे 1000 rupees as per official exchange rate is nothing there, बराबर? But still he might be able to afford this burger because the official rate is the purchasing power rate is 50 rupees. Point I am trying to make is, here you earn less but spend less, there you earn more but spend more. So your purchasing power is more or less similar. Are you getting it? Your purchasing power is more or less similar. So when we compare India's GDP $2.73 trillion, USA's GDP $15 trillion, we are comparing it on official exchange rate. $2.73 trillion bola hai na, which means rupee you have converted to dollars by using official exchange rate. Then you are comparing, okay? We are the 6th largest economy in the world, 6th or 7th largest economy in the world as per official rate. Please bear in mind, as per official rate. But we Indians, we tell them, ki sir, if you are buying, if you are spending $2 there, we are getting that in 100 rupees here, which means $1 there is 50 rupees worth of goods here. Are you getting it? $1 worth of goods, there is 50 rupees worth of good here. Same thing goes for tea also. If it is $1 there, and if the tea costs here 10 rupees, which means one tea you are getting for how much? $1. 75 rupees ka chai hai wahan pe, and here you are getting one chai for 10 rupees. So in terms of chai, your cost is very less here. So we are able to afford more things. So you say ki sir, our economy is more powerful than you imagine. We are not 6th largest. We are very close to you because we are also able to afford, or we are also able to buy so many things that you are able to buy at similar cost. Similar cost, 50 rupees, 50 rupees, not 75, sir, this is fake, sir, this is wrong. Okay? Now this comparison of countries, this comparison of prices, this comparison of purchasing power, or this comparison of the economic conditions in the country, when we go from 75, when we discard this official exchange rate and when we do it in terms of common goods, okay, common goods is called as that comparison or that rate or that method is called as purchasing power parity. Sir, PP we understood purchasing power. What about parity? Parity means to equalize. Parity means to bring on par. Okay? So purchasing, have you heard this term? Purchasing power parity. Purchasing power parity. समझ रहे? Are you understanding this? It is purchasing power parity. So we are the third largest economy in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. We are the seventh or sixth largest economy in the world in terms of nominal GDP based on official exchange rate. So when we say we are the third largest, which means that our GDP has more power than what is led to believe. Because यहाँ पे देखो ना, see this example. We believe that $1 is equal to 75 rupees. So which means to get $1, you have to give 75 rupees. If you go to bank, you say I want $1, bank will ask you 75 rupees. Official exchange rate. If you go by purchasing power parity, you say $1 is 50 rupees, which means bank will ask only for 50 rupees. So actually PPP is meant only for comparison. It is not meant for official transactions, because official transactions happens on official exchange rate only. Because official exchange rate, how is it derived and all that we are going to see later. So for now, just take a moment to sink in this purchasing power parity. Okay, same you can take any example. So we speak na ki India mein this is so cheap, food is so cheap, you get vada pav, you get samosa pav, you get burger also for cheap here, but there the same burger, the only condition is it has to be same goods. You cannot compare a Mac Veggie to some normal roadside burger and say in India it is cheap. Okay, same burger hai. So again we have a basket of goods and services which are produced in USA, which are produced in India. We take an average of the rates and then we arrive at an exchange rate, which is the PPP rate. So when we say we are the third largest in terms of PPP, which means our economy is the third most powerful, third most largest in terms of purchasing power. Now whether that purchasing power is with a few people in India or with mass in India, which means is there inequality or not, that is our problem. ठीक है, USA बोलता है कि but your purchasing power only 10 people out of 50 are able to purchase this. India says that is our problem na. 10 people are able to purchase or 50 people are able to purchase. Total India's purchasing power is this much. Purchasing power parity. If you consider EU, European Union as one block, then we become fourth largest. No need to remember all this, but I'm just saying, if you take country by country, we are third largest. If you take EU as a group of countries, then we are the fourth largest. Purchasing power parity. Oh, did you understand the concept of purchasing power parity? This is very important. In newspaper, there are articles which say कि PPP terms we are this much, but what does it mean in PPP terms? It is this much. Okay? How many of you, I spoke to you on Zoom, some of you, 2-3 people told me that you left your job for doing UPSC. Okay? Right? People leave their jobs for doing UPSC. People for change the plans of their further education. Let's say after graduating you plan to do MBA, but then you went for UPSC, or you plan to do masters, but you left that and you came to do UPSC. So we gave up a lot of things to do UPSC, right? So so you have now, let's say you are a fresh graduate. Okay? You have 3 options. 1, job. 2, master's degree. 3, do UPSC. What is the benefit of doing job? Salary, money basically. You will be able to buy things. You will get increments of salary. Okay? You will get growth in your career. What is the benefit of doing master's degree? Extra degree, which means extra knowledge, which means extra money. Okay? What is the benefit of doing UPSC? Job satisfaction. You'll also get money. You'll get status. You will get respect. You will get reputation. So all of them have positives. Do all of them have negatives? Yes. Job satisfaction, monotonous life, boring, same level pe you are operating, wastage of time, 2 years waste, might not be as what is expected, very unpredictable. Okay, there are more negatives here compared to positives, right? So there are a lot of things which are both positive and negative in job, in masters, in UPSC, right? So when you do UPSC, you give up a lot. Remember, you give up a good career, you give up. So if you are spending 3 years in UPSC, which means you are foregoing 3 years worth of promotion, 3 years worth of growth here, right? Now if I ask you, what is the cost of doing UPSC? How much do you have to pay? What would you say? What is the cost of doing UPSC? Classes cost? Books cost? Wi-Fi cost? Wi-Fi, mobile, internet, because it is essential now. Printing books सब इसमें ही आ गया, Xerox and all. What is the other cost? Food cost? ठीक है, living, rent, you live here, right? This is the cost. This is the cost which is you are giving out of your own pocket, or parents might be helping you, but this is the cost you are incurring. ठीक है? Now pay attention here. When you chose this route, you knew कि these were the costs, but you also knew that I am foregoing my salary here. Yes or no? Which means ये तो you are paying only, but you are also losing your salary. Because 1 month in UPSC, you could have earned 50,000, 40,000 rupees. Are you not losing your, see, you are not earning it, but you are losing an opportunity to earn it. Do you agree with me? You are losing an opportunity to earn it. So which means that the cost, the actual cost, this is the financial cost. The actual cost of doing UPSC just became higher. Because ye to it is going by your pocket, but you are also foregoing your job salary, right? Similarly, when you do your job, you incur a lot of cost and all everything, but you also incur the cost of not being able to try to achieve satisfaction in life, which job UPSC gives you a lot of satisfaction in life. Okay? So these are the costs which are not visible, they are invisible, right? They add to the burden of your choice. So when you must be thinking ki whether I should do UPSC or not, you might have figured this out ki I will give up salary also. Okay? This is also. So the cost, not this cost, that thinking wala cost, the cost which you incur when you pursue one alternative, okay, and when you forego another alternative, the cost which you incur in foregoing one alternative, this cost is called as opportunity cost. This is opportunity cost. This cost is called as opportunity cost. This is very important. And you have opportunity cost in everything. Whether to play or whether to study. Whether to play PUBG or BGMI. Now it is BGMI or GTA or whatever you guys play. Whether to play that or whether to do UPSC. So if you study for 1 hour, what is it that you are giving up? 1 hour of pleasure, 1 hour of leveling up in the game, 1 hour of progress in the game. So that becomes your opportunity cost for studying for 1 hour. When you play for 1 hour, what are you giving up? Progress in your studies, revision, concept clearing, doubt clearing, whatever. So that becomes an opportunity cost of playing for 1 hour. Are you getting it? The cost of what you give up is your opportunity cost. This is your opportunity cost. You can even remember this by rhyming it with opportunity lost. It is the cost of opportunity lost. So in pursuit of 1 hour of study, you lost that opportunity of playing for that 1 hour, the same 1 hour. We are not talking about the next 1 hour. Next 1 hour again the cycle will reset. The cost of opportunity lost is opportunity cost. वाह वाह sir, क्या बोला है? The cost of opportunity lost is opportunity cost. Okay? The cost of pursuing one alternative, when you give up another alternative, becomes your opportunity cost. So many people ask me why am I not doing attempt this year? I have attempts left. I have 3 attempts left. why am I not giving this year? Many people ask me. So I say the opportunity cost this year is too high, which means if I do UPSC, I will have to give up on my job or the attention which I pay to my job, or the salary if I take an extended leave before exam and all of that. So and plus mental saturation bhi ho jata hai. After a while reading Lakshmikant more than 50 times, you will come to know how exhausting it is and how boring it is, because there is nothing new there left after 50 times, right? So this year the opportunity cost for me giving the exam is very high, which means that if I pursue UPSC, I will have to lose a lot of opportunities. Hence, I am not pursuing UPSC this year. Next year, who knows? Next year, the opportunity cost might come down, the mental saturation might come down, and then I will, maybe it becomes manageable. So everyone, should have the right balance of, or the right understanding of opportunity cost. I have a friend who is a doctor. She was with me, and she gave the first attempt with me only. Unfortunately, she also reached interview and she couldn't clear the last stage, alongside me only. And she's a doctor, so she has a lot of prospects uh, in the private hospital or healthcare industry. So she also told me the same thing. The opportunity cost has become very high now. And more opportunity cost is age also. You have to move ahead in your life. You have to start a family, get married. So many family pressures are there in India. So opportunity cost is always very high, whatever you do. Even if you go for masters, opportunity cost is high. Even if you go for job, opportunity cost is high. What normal job are you doing? You are so bright, you could have tried for UPSC. Society is always giving you opportunity cost. Yes. What are you doing this? Whatever you do, they will always remark negatively on you. Okay? So the cost of opportunity lost is opportunity cost. This is important. This takeaway is important. I will ask in Zoom session what is opportunity cost. So please don't stare my face. Ki, sir, what is sir talking about? I told you about this. Chalo, let us rewind. What is PPP? What is PPP? Purchasing power parity, right? So this example which I gave of McDonald's, this approach is actually used by The Economist magazine. There is a magazine, there is an institution called The Economist. They calculate all these world metrics. So this McDonald's wala is actually an approach they use. What they do is, what we have in India, the burger called as chicken Maharaja Mac, the big burger which is there in India. It is called as Maharaja Mac. So and that burger is common across the countries, and since it is chicken, it is available easily in other countries also. So what they do is they call it Big Mac in other countries. So they take that Big Mac, but the composition is morely same. They take that Big Mac and from various major countries, and then they compare the prices. Okay, and that is known as, don't try it, you will find this in book, that is known as Big Mac Index. Big Mac, naam hi hai, the Big Mac Index. They take the burger prices, they compare it, and then they calculate ki what is the purchasing power level in that country. So let's say in Japan, Big Mac is very expensive, which means it will even go beyond 75. It's very expensive there, you can't even buy that. So, which means PPP mein it has become more worse than official exchange rate. So that is Big Mac Index. That is a very interesting way to do it. In fact, that is why I told you, everyone should have that burger, because it is the standard outlet in the world. I mean, it is the same everywhere. There are some taste changes when you go, but the level of standardization McDonald's brings. In fact, McDonald's was the first one to bring this level of standardization in the world. Like, no matter, even in India, if you compare, you go any state, any city, if you find a McDonald's, 99% taste will be same. Hai that level of standardization in food industry. Normally standardization we see in consumer products, ACs, cars and all, mobile, same thing. In food, to bring that level, even Domino's, KFC, they don't achieve that standardization. Their taste differs. Even if you order from the same outlet 3-4 times, you will notice that taste is different. But McDonald's, 99% of the times, personal experience, and I have researched about it also, so they engage very strict quality controls. They don't cut corners, because they are very well established, and they absorb a lot of losses also for this. But they want the same taste. Whether it is healthy or not, that is your choice. But we are providing this. Okay, happiness and all is done. This is done. Transfer payments is done. So if you ask me regarding transfer payments, I will ask you, are subsidies transfer payments? Do you think subsidies are transfer payments? I told you subsidies are transfer payments are unidirectional. They may be conditional, they may not be conditional. Are subsidies transfer payments? Think and tell me. Some of them are, some of them are not. Most of them are not. Because when you are giving farmer a subsidy, when you are giving a subsidy to a farmer, then what happens is you are indirectly influencing the price of goods and services, which means government is getting something in return. Yes or no? We saw in that example of cake, if government reduces electricity subsidy or gives electricity subsidy by 10 rupees, it wants to reduce the price of the cake, which means that there is an economic impact of it. But pension and scholarship, there is no further return for the government. It is just social nature, right? That is transfer payment. Subsidies, some of them are, most of them are not. If you if you Google this, some websites will say yes, some websites will say no. So it is the logic is this. So now whether it is, you cannot generalize it, but most of them are not. So if you want to generalize it forcefully, you can say they are not. Okay. What are we? Socialist economy, capitalist economy? We are a mixed economy, which means some goods are provided, some goods and services are provided by the government. Yes or no? What are the goods which are provided only by the government? What do you think? Are the goods provided only by the government? The key word here is only. What do you think? Water, not drinking water, supply of water, municipal water. Is it supplied only by government? Yes. Electricity in some parts, not in all parts, but in some parts electricity is supplied by government. So you can say electricity. Public parks, nobody controls public parks. Okay. Monuments, access to monuments, only government controls. Right? Access to mines, access to telecom spectrum, only government gives. Private players operate these things, but private players do not create these things. This is all under the control of government. So whatever goods, whatever services government provides are known as public goods. Are known as public goods. What is the other counterpart of public goods? Whatever goods are provided by the private parties, they are called as private goods. It's fairly simple, fairly easy to understand. What are public goods and what are private goods? है ना? Very easy, straightforward है. There is nothing more to this. We are in the second last leg of our lecture, so please pay attention. Everyone, those of you who are sitting at home, please do not just keep eating and enjoying and it's a late K, don't see these lectures. Please pay attention. Maximum we can recreate is the feel of being in a class, right? And you please keep your phone away. I can see you through the camera only. You are using your phone, you were texting, I know that. So please don't do that. Public goods, private goods, okay? Private goods provided by private entities, public goods provided by government. Government can be anything, primary, secondary, tertiary, all the governments. See, you should be smart enough to note down the things which you find interesting. There will be some things which I will tell you to write it down. There will be some things which I will tell you not to write it down. But some things, if you find they are interesting, I will. What we will do is, we have converted this into PPT and we'll be sending this PPT along with. So you can add your own notes in this only. है ना? When you take this, you can add your own notes. You can write it side में on the page or something like that. So ये comprehensive हो जाएगा. Public goods, private goods, done. Very good. What is the key factor which differentiates between public goods and private goods? I want you to tell me, how do you distinguish between public goods and private goods? So there are two words which I want you to know. One word, these are English words, but sounds good when you use these words. First word is non-rivalrous. Rivalrous means it's derived from rivalry. Rivalry means dushmani, enmity. Non-rivalrous means the usage of that good by one person does not diminish the usage of that good for other person. The usage of that good by one person does not diminish the availability of that good for another person. I'll give you an example, air. I am also breathing air. See, technically, scientifically speaking, it diminishes the availability of air for you also. But we are not science here. This is economics. Okay? Public parks का example लेते हैं, national parks and all. So one person is using national park, the government is allowing other person also to use it. Na? It does not diminish the availability of that good to other person. Okay, that is non-rivalrous. There is no rivalry between usage. If I use more, you will get less. If you use more, I will get less. ऐसा नहीं. It is barabar, equal for everyone. And the second criteria is, so see, these criteria help a good become a public good. So if you want to know whether a good is public or not, this is the test. It should be non-rivalrous. And second criteria is non-excludability. Non-excludability. It should be non-excludable. Sir, what do you mean by non-excludability? You cannot stop anyone from using that good. National Park mein, you cannot stop anyone. Unless someone is doing a crime or something, that's a different thing. But government cannot stop anyone. You know, we have non-discrimination, fundamental rights also. So non-excludable, you cannot exclude anyone based on any condition. Sir, but what about fees, 50 rupees entry fee? So those who can't afford, they cannot go there. That is true, but that 50 rupees fees apply for everyone. No? It is not applied differently for different people. Sir, then what about foreign tourists? They have to pay higher fees. Did you notice that if you visit ancient monuments or if you visit national parks, foreigners have to pay higher fees compared to Indians? Have you noticed this? Have you gone to Taj Mahal? So suppose your entry fee is 100 rupees, foreigners will have to pay $5 or $10, 700 rupiah. That much is the difference. Reason? You already know the reason. Purchasing power parity. PPP in live use is seen in your monument entry tickets. Because they are earning much, so that is why equivalent amount of expenses should be recovered from them. Now how ethical it is or how moral it is, we are not getting into that. But the question here is, economically it makes sense. We are earning 5,000 rupees, we are paying 100 rupees. They are earning 50,000 rupees, they should pay 1,000 rupees. Na sir, that is the only logic behind it. So the reason behind why we have separate this entry rates for monuments of foreigners and Indians is purchasing power parity. Coming back here, if the goods have the criteria of non-excludability and if they are non-rivalrous, they classify as a public good. Sir, iska kya karenge? Nothing is to be done. The thing is, government has a prime responsibility to provide public goods, and private people can also provide these goods. But when private people provide these goods, there is a risk of failure, because if that company stops, then your goods gone. So that is why government has the responsibility of providing public goods. This is done, finished, dusted. Now there are some goods which have a positive effect on the economy. Can you name some goods which are good for the economy, good for the people of our country? What is, can you name some goods or some services? Anything which is good for the economy. See, if I ask you anything which is bad for the economy, you will immediately tell. Cigarettes. Bad for the economy means bad for the overall environment, overall culture of the country, or bad for the country, bad for the people of the country. So if I ask you what is bad, you will say, you will say cigarettes, you will say alcohol, drugs, LSD, methamphetamine, all of those things, everything comes here. Okay? Coal, pollution. Coal causes a lot of pollution, so coal is also bad. It is not only health, vaisa wala consumption goods, indirect consumption is also there. A lot of fertilizers, excess fertilizers also come here, right? These are bad. What are good? What is positive? Think services, healthcare, good for the country, yes. Education, very good for the country. Okay? Then all other goods fall in between, yes or no? They are neither good, they are neither bad. Chal raha hai, kat rahi hai zindagi. Okay? They are useful. See, we are not talking about usefulness. We are talking about spreading positivity here. Spreading positive effects. They can be positive economic effects, they can be positive social effects, they can be positive cultural effects, they can be positive political effects, anything. Okay? So these goods, positive goods, are called as merit goods. Merit hai na? It's a positive word. It's merit goods. Now you only tell me, what would these goods be called as? Demerit goods. ठीक है. Now a very useless distinction, but I will make it, is that, see, out of these goods, out of these 10, 15, whatever goods you can think of, there are some goods which depend on human habits. ठीक है. अभी coal is not a human habit, it is a requirement. But alcohol and cigarettes, now some might argue it is a requirement, it is a medicine, sir, but no moral ethical debates here. Some might, but scientifically speaking, cigarettes and alcohol are habit goods, they can be stopped. ठीक है. People willfully indulge in them knowing they are bad. ठीक है. They are not required. So these kind of goods which are demerit goods but which are habit goods, or which people know they are bad, which can be controlled, they are called as sin goods, SIN. So this is a small distinction, but I would just, for purpose of simplicity, I will give a slash and I will write sin goods. Clarity के लिए I just told you this, but they are called as sin goods, SIN, sin goods. ठीक है. So what are sin goods? Sin goods are bad for the country, be it health, be it environment, be it anything else. See, cigarettes are bad for the environment also. Huh? They release a lot of carcinogens in the smoke, and then that air gets polluted. The passive smoking, उसको ही बोलते हैं passive smoking. ठीक है. And these are all the other goods in between, right? What would these goods be called as? These goods would be called as non-merit goods. They are not positive, but they are not negative either. They are non-merit goods. Understanding? Now tell me, policy, again, put on your policy makers hats and now tell me, where will government subsidize aggressively? Where will government penalize aggressively? Government will subsidize this aggressively, government will penalize this aggressively. That is why the distinction between these goods is important. It's as simple as that. Merit goods, non-merit goods, demerit goods, sin goods, they are also called as sin goods. ठीक है. Alright, let us move on to the last leg of our lecture and probably the most exciting part of this lecture, because I know this lecture was a lot of dry concepts, but क्या करे? Sometimes you have to eat bitter gourd, ना करेला खाना पड़ता है for good health, right? And we need good health, we need good marks. Where is my favorite screen? Where is my favorite screen? Where is my favorite screen? Where is my... this is my favorite screen, right? This I told you I will use this screen. Chalo, very now pay attention. We have come to an interesting venture. We have come to an interesting part. Do you think the economy goes at a constant pace or there are ups and downs? See, there are ups and downs in everyone's life. हमारी जिंदगी में ऊपर नीचे होते हैं, ठीक है? Our relationships go up and down, our moods go up and down, our studies go up and down, our performance goes up and down, so many things. Similarly, do you think economy also goes straight? No, economy goes up and down. Due to various reasons, economy goes up and down. So can I draw something like this? इसलिए जगह छोड़ा था. Since 3 lectures I have been leaving this space for this one wave. ठीक है, it is up and down. Do you agree with this, that this happens in an economy? Now how and why this happens? ठीक है. So when let us start from here. Economy is starting here. You will try to boost your production, you will try to boost your investment, yes or no? You will try to maximize your production. Production will increase, yes or no? ठीक है. Production will increase, yes or no? Why is there a turn here? Why is there a peak here? Why are we not growing forward? You know the answer, please answer in economic terms. Why are we stopping here? That is my question. Because this is your potential GDP. This is your potential. इसके आगे if you go, you will, if you go beyond this, what will happen? Inflation. It will result in an inflation, which will be very bad. So your policy actions will start from here onwards. You will try to control it. You as a government will try to control it, yes or no? If you don't control it, what will happen? It will go. But this will not be real. This will be completely air inflation. Okay? So this is your zone of action. You want to bring the economy down. Ki please don't fly. Come down. ज़्यादा हो गया. Economy starts to go down. You are like, oh, nothing. what happened? We'll use this diagram in our fiscal policy also, don't worry. This is the zone of action again, where you have to take some actions to pull out the economy, yes or no? Okay? Now tell me, do you agree with this? You will have to take action here, you will have to take action here. Too much of goodness, too much of sweetness is not good, too much of spiciness is also, or sourness is also not good, right? So, now I'll give you only one weapon of action. The rest weapons we are going to see in fiscal and monetary policy. One weapon. Government has the option of increasing taxes, government has the option of decreasing taxes. For simplicity, let us assume government can increase taxes limitlessly, government can decrease taxes limitlessly. Answer very thoughtfully. If GDP is increasing, if economy is growing, what will the government do? Increase tax. At this point, what will the government do? Increase taxes or reduce taxes? At this point, I want an answer. What will the government do? Increase taxes or reduce taxes? Government will increase taxes. Why will government increase taxes? Because government wants to take away the purchasing power from the people so that this does not fuel into inflation, so that prices do not rise. If government takes away your purchasing power, you will not be able to buy things. If you are not able to buy things, you will not demand those things. If you are not demanding those things, supply will exceed demand and prices will automatically come down. If you are given unlimited money, if everyone is given unlimited money, the prices will skyrocket because you will start buying everything, everyone will start buying everything, suppliers will raise their price because demand has now exceeded supply. Remember demand supply. Supply has now exceeded demand and demand has exceeded supply, and then people suppliers will start raising their prices. Do you agree with this? So here what the government is trying to do, is the government trying to push up or pull down? Pull down. Here what will the government do? Government will see, array economy is going down, please, I told you consumption or spending is the fuel. Here government will try to add more fuel. Barabar hai? Add more fuel. So government, what is government trying to do here is, government trying to pull this down. Okay? By what? One tool we discussed, government will try to pull this down by increasing taxes. When government increases taxes, people have less money with them. So they have less room for masti in the economy, right? What will government do here? Government will try to push this up. Do you agree? Again, this will repeat here. Again, this will repeat here. Okay? Now tell me, are we going with the government? We are government. Very important, very important part of this. Are we going with the government? With the cycle, or are we going against the cycle? Which means, here cycle is increasing. Is the government action resulting in reduction of the cycle here or constant increase of the cycle here? We are going against the cycle. Do you agree with this? We are going against the cycle. Do you agree with this? See, if government went with the cycle, so economy is increasing, people are enjoying, prices are also increasing, economy is running. And if government reduces taxes, people get more money and people will spend more and it will go on. This will be the trajectory. Okay? Which means that government is going with the cycle. Jaise wave is coming, government is going along with the wave. If the wave is downwards, government will go downwards. But government, here we are not doing that. Here, after a point of time, government is trying to control the wave. If it is a high wave, government is trying to low it down. If it is a low wave, government is trying to pull it up. Do you agree with this or not? Yes, this is exactly what Keynes said. Government should intervene by doing this. Government should follow a counter policy. Counter policy, na ulta hai ye. So when your economy is going very high, let it go. But after a point of time, don't let it go very high. Pull it down. When your economy is going very low, after a point of time, pull it up. Same thing, na? We talk about our emotions also. If we are very happy, we say ki niche aa ja, come on the ground. Don't fly so high. If you are very depressed, very sad, we say ki nahi, all things are not bad, things are good. We go opposite to the wave. Nahi to depressed people will become more depressed and happy people will become extra happy. We don't follow that. Okay? We follow a balanced approach. We follow a normal approach. Okay? This is what exactly Keynes suggested, and his policy or government actions who follow Keynes policy, or this policy of government pulling the economy down when the economy is going up, government pulling the economy up or pushing the economy up when the economy is going down. This, my friends, is the most important word which we are going to learn today. This policy of going opposite to the cycle, this policy of going opposite to the wave is known as this word is there in almost all business newspapers, in editorials, in economic survey, counter-cyclical policy. This is a counter-cyclical policy. You are going against the economy cycle. Now, if agar isko cycle bola hai, if we have called this wave as a cycle, so we will call this as a, this wave we are calling it as a trade cycle. Or we call it as a business cycle, same hai, generic names. But did you understand what is counter-cyclical policy? Keynes has given the word counter-cyclical policy today. When I'll tell you the practical application in pandemic, when economy was here, is here, not was. Economy is here today. Okay? We are here. You will read many editorials where you will read RBI saying that we need this. Government and RBI agree that they need this push. So they need to push it more further, like upwards, because they cannot afford to go more down. And this is called as counter-cyclical policy, going against the cycle, counter-cyclical. What will be the opposite of counter-cyclical? If they went with the flow, what would they, if they went with the flow, what would they call this policy? Pro-cyclical policy, which means you are pro the cycle. Upar hai to aur upar, you are going up, you are going down, more down. Right? This is counter-cyclical policy. Are you getting it? Counter-cyclical policy. Now, where does the role of fiscal policy come into this? Where does the role of monetary policy come into this? How is this equation related to this? We will see in the next lecture. When we start directly after revision. Obviously, we start with the fiscal policy. The most interesting, most practical and most amazing part of learning economics is fiscal and monetary policy. These two chapters and little bit of taxation and banking, these add a lot of flavor to our study of economics. Otherwise, GDP and all of that is still okay, but thoda dry. Infrastructure, honestly speaking, I'm very sorry for this, but infrastructure is dry, agriculture is also dry. But fiscal, monetary, this is the core of economics, this is the heart of economics. And that is why this is known as counter-cyclical policy. This was given by Keynes. So when we say Keynesian economics or when we say Keynesian policy, nothing but this. This is Keynesian policy. Okay? Understood? Yes, no? Keynesian policy, Keynesian economics. I will show you economic survey article tomorrow which will say these words exactly as I have said. Exactly. And we will start with this screen only because I have to draw a lot more things. So I will save this screen. We'll start this with this screen and then I'll share the PPT in the end. Right? So, so I think after this, I don't know whether you get this lecture next week or the immediately next day. But please pay attention to these upcoming lectures. They are very important. They help you understand all the MCQs which come, all the mains questions, interview questions which come on fiscal policy and monetary policy. But till now, did you understand? We started yesterday from GDP, or even we started with the basic story of demand and supply. Two people supplying mangoes, buying mangoes, and we came to counter-cyclical policy. And in a matter of, I think, 8 hours, we came in a matter of 7-8 hours to counter-cyclical policy. Right? 4 lectures approx. Okay? This word, do not forget this word. I'll just draw stars to this word. Show off to your friends that you know the meaning of this word. This is counter-cyclical policy. Counter-cyclical. Now, one thing I'll give you to keep in your memory. There is a related word here, similar sounding word here. Just keep it in your memory. Let me know, remind me about this word in the banking chapter, which is long way to go. Counter cyclical capital conservation buffer. Oh sir, stop there only. Counter cyclical capital buffer or counter cyclical capital conservation buffer, CCCCB or CCCB. Okay, we'll do this in the banking chapter, and I will tell you, see, I told you that this is also based on counter cyclical capital policy. Everything will come back to the first 4 lectures. In banking chapter, we are going to revert to this again. Did you understand what is multiplier effect? Did you understand what is CCCB? Did you understand what is national income, personal income, disposable personal income, GVA, everything? Now, if you have reached the end of this lecture, I give you my blessings to read the first 2 chapters of 12th standard macroeconomics NCERT. You will understand each and every word of it. There is nothing which you will not understand. You will understand everything. If you don't understand, please let me know. We have our sessions. You can contact me and you can ask your doubts, right? But first and second chapter is the biggest in that NCERT. 27 pages का chapter है वो. It is the biggest and it is a technical chapter. First two introduction chapter, 8 pages, very basic. Introductory macroeconomics. Read it. Read the first 2 chapters. You will be crystal clear with it. Nothing will be above you. Okay? And if you are reading, any reference book, let's say Ramesh Singh, Sriram, or Vivek Singh, or any book, read the first introduction chapter in that book. Okay? GDP wala. And skim through it. NCERT, read word by word. Ignore the graphs and all. Just forget that. Like I told you, ignore the graphs and formulas. But word by word, every text should be read. But the reference book, just skim through it. Whatever we have not covered, you can maybe read that. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay? Thank you. We'll meet with the next lecture with fiscal policy. We are directly jumping to fiscal policy. But in the end, ऐसा ना हो जाए कि all the boring chapters are in the end. So I'll try to insert one boring chapter in between the interesting ones. Right? So we'll meet in the next lecture. Thank you so much. Take care.